Back in the archives today from an old show 30 years ago, I sat down and talked with former KDKA reporter George Barber, reliving the moments of covering the march from Selma to Montgomery.
I want to pick up on the story just before the break. You were talking about the woman that you met in the march. Who were some of the people that you met along the way?
So the persons, I recall a person by the name of Jim Leather, crippled, in fact, with one leg and with a crutch, from Saginaw, Michigan, who was there and marched all the way with his one leg, his peg leg, with his one leg and crutch. And I recall a former boxer from Atlanta, Georgia, I think his name was Joe Young, who was blind, who walked all the way. Of course, the leaders, Dr. King and Andy Young, the former mayor of Atlanta, and Jose Williams, who was an outstanding leader, Dr. Ralph Bunch, A. Philip Randolph, Rosa Parks, Whitney Young, Jr., who was of the Urban League, and quite a number of the young people. I don't know them by name, but quite a number of young people there. And also on the opposite side, so to speak, with the black hats, Sheriff Jim Clark. And I think before we took the break, I was mentioning about reporting back about going by his church, his good old Southern Baptist church where he was a deacon. And to me, I said, how can this be? And within myself. But he was a sheriff, he was a deacon in good standing there. And getting back to reporting, it was, you just had to take a fish-eyed look at what was happening there, to see the number of people of all races, creeds, and colors who had gathered there at Brown Chapel before the march began that particular Sunday. Gathered there with fear, but with a braveness and a courage, not knowing what was going to happen, but knowing that they should go forth because this was something that had to be done. And shoving out from there, going to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where Bloody Sunday occurred, and going across the bridge and not knowing whether or not you were going to be attacked by horses, tear gas, or what have you. The people were just wonderful. And I remember those persons who, black farmers along the way, who, despite all the pressures of whites in the area not to accommodate the marchers overnight, stood bravely by and allowed the marchers, allowed us to bunk down at night. One person I met, I think his name was George Gardner, and his farm, he's a 165-acre farm, I think it was, on the second day out, the second night that we bunked out there. And Gardner, 2 days later, when we arrived in Montgomery, he singled me out to find out if I could do something to help him, because they had boycotted his farm goods in the town, and he was having a very difficult time. So I was able to put him in touch with John Doerr, I think it was Kennedy's assistant, U.S. I forget his exact title, and Doerr was attempting to do something to help him. But the people.
Let me ask you this, because when you talk about the people, and you've mentioned quite a few, the 72-year-old woman comes to mind, the gentleman with one leg. We're talking about people who were willing, by and large, to risk their lives.
Yes.
We don't see that same type of commitment in 1990, do we?
I say no. No, we don't. No, we don't. I have to say, and I would say that we see a commitment in not to the cause of equal rights or civil rights, but we see such commitments, and this is tangential, like that in the drug traffic. We see commitments of that degree, with that intensity, but not for such a good thing as civil rights and equal rights and progress and so forth. I know it's there somewhere. It has to be.
So are we not doing a good job, maybe, of taking the example of situations like the March in Selma and communicating that to other generations of blacks in particular to rejuvenate or revive that commitment. Because let's be realistic, the freedom that we were looking for in 1965 still, by and large, continues to evade us.
Yes, yes. We have to do much more in order to impact these historic happenings and into the young minds. We have to somehow, and I think it's part of the whole problem of society, that the system of values are all askew, and as a result, there is emphasis on things other than progress towards civil rights, towards equal rights, towards moving towards a democracy. In fact, here, it's a new ball game in a sense, and at times I'm just confused and bewildered and wonder what is happening. How come we can't get across the fact that we have to continually move ahead so far as in the fight for equal rights and equality and for progress.
I am so glad his daughter saved that show. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.